Hey, everybody. How are you all doing today? I'm so glad you decided to join me. My name is Karen Mayfield Felton, and I'm here with Karen's Chronicles, where I talk about life stuff along the way, helpful experiences, and items to make life journey that much more enjoyable. Today, I'm going to talk about productivity hacks, tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it, for those of us that have ADHD and how we can make the most not only of our time, but making sure that we're aligned to what it is we're supposed to do. Today is President's Day. So some of you are at work and some of you are enjoying a nice day at home, not having to go to work until tomorrow. So I hope that you are enjoying your day. Excuse me. I have consumed a beverage with carbonation, so bear with me today. I'm trying to get my throat together. So, one of the things that made me think about this as a topic is because we are endeavoring to make sure that our lives are in some kind of order. We are trying to make sure that we have done the list, that we are maximizing our time, that we're in the places that we're supposed to be, that we're doing all of the things to make our lives better and make the lives of the people around us better as well. Those are very important to me, but we do it differently. We each have different roles and responsibilities. Some of you are stay at home caregivers, some of you work full time, multiple jobs, even. Some of you may be single, some of you may have kids, and there may be some of you who are, retired. You're where I endeavor to be one day, hopefully soon. And the demand on your time and the demand on you as an individual will vary. If you are in a season where it seems as though you can't quite figure out how to get things done, there's always something encroaching on your time, taking your attention away, and you find yourself back where you started, no matter how many times you set aside time, you do the list. If that is you, then this is absolutely the right video for you to watch because that has been me more times than I would like to remember. The reason why I mentioned ADHD is that I don't use that as a crutch. I use that as a point of reference because my focus, depending on the day, I'm like a squirrel. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, no, I got to do this, or I'm going to go do this. And then something strikes my fancy. And the next thing you know, I'm off on a tangent doing something completely different from what I set out to do. So, this particular brain, this person, me, I have a lot to do to not just keep my focus, but to make sure that I am meeting the obligations that God has put on me. Let's just be real. I'm not in this life just for me. I am a wife, I am a mother, I am a daughter, and I am a coworker, I am a friend, I am a member of the body of Christ. Like I have a lot of responsibilities and there are people that depend on me. So it is important to me to make sure that of all the doing that I do, that I am one in alignment and in obedience with what God has called me to do. And there are lots of different things that get me off track. So let's just go on and get into it. First thing that I recommend is to make a list of the things that you need to do. And you're going to say, well, shoot, I didn't need to watch the video for you to tell me that. Hear me out. You're going to watch a lot of videos, YouTube, social media that's going to give you this beautiful recipe on how to prioritize your tasks, how to write them down, how to make sure that they're done. And that works. But for a percentage of people, it won't work because we're all different. What I'm about to recommend to you is not going to be all inclusive. Some of you, it's not going to work. But I do want to give you at least a place to start, and sometimes it's just by writing it down and recognizing the what you gotta do's and the what could wait to do's. Case in point, I have had a trip and I just unpacked. And I've also had 3 loads of clean clothes that have been in a basket. in my home upstairs for about 3 weeks. I have also been recovering from some type of virus or something that has attacked my throat that caused me to have acute laryngitis to where I couldn't speak, sinuses draining, energy low. So I wasn't physically able to do some of the things that I wanted to do. But here's the thing, I knew that I wanted to start a week where I knew where my clean clothes were. Like they were clean, but I needed to know where they were so that I could plan what I'm going to wear and get some type of organization. Now, that's a task that has everything to do with me. I'm responsible for dressing myself. I'm responsible for getting my clothes out. Nobody else is. And if you have somebody that does that for you, mazel tov, happy for you. But in this here life, it's me. So that is something that I can control. And so I wanted to put that as a priority because that's going to pay dividends for me in my planning later. Basically, I'm going to plan my clothes out through the week. It's a short week anyway. So that's one thing in the morning I don't have to worry about. So I'm already starting my day with productivity. That also includes laying my workout clothes out. That also includes making a time block for me to have said workout and understand what I'm going to do in that workout. That is how I am prioritizing my day because those are things that are important to me. There may be other things for you that you are not in complete control over. And in addition to in addition to having a list of things that you got to do and things that can wait, and prioritizing those things is to be able to set boundaries around the non-returnable serves. Those are what I call things that you you can't return this serve. Like this is the serve. Like you're getting it. Like this is what has to be in order for the expectations, in order for the people that depend on me, in order for my life to flow, right? And let me give you an example that I think most people can identify with. If you have a child or a person in your family that has an appointment of some regularity, needs to be picked up after school, and you work a full-time job or a part-time job, you have the obligation at this moment to take that person where they need to go and hopefully get them there on time, which means that you got to leave your place of work at a certain amount of time. If that time is 4 o'clock and you're in an environment where someone keeps putting meetings on your calendar at 4 and you don't say anything, then that is a boundary that is going to continue to cause conflict with your obligation. What am I saying in real English? Set boundaries that support what it is that you have to do for the people in your life and for yourself. That means having a conversation with your leadership and your supervisor that says, I'm going to complete the required hours. I'm going to do the requirements because that's the right thing to do, but I got to leave here. I got to leave at this time because I have an obligation. And I need you to understand that, which means that when you schedule said meeting that I have to be at 4 o'clock, that doesn't work with my obligation. It would help me if you would schedule that meeting either earlier in the day or help me by giving me notes or allowing me to catch up to what is being said, whatever it is that you need to say. But at the end of the day, the message is don't schedule a meeting at 4. I got stuff to do. Can't say it like that, but it's a boundary that's going to align with your responsibilities. And there's this notion lately, if you're on social media for any stretch of time, that talks about boundaries, where it's almost like a buzzword. There's so many things that when they first came out that right now just sound like buzzwords. When I believe the root of setting boundaries is what do you have to do? What do we own that allows people to manage the expectations that fit your lifestyle, that fit your obligations, that fit what you have to do? And when you are someone who has ADHD from any varying degree, you will either forget to tell them, you either won't have the language to tell them, or you're a people pleaser and you won't tell them. And that causes you to do work on the front end and the back end, and you're in this endless loop that will ultimately lead to chaos, ultimately lead to stress, and you're the one that's going to lose, as well as the people that depend on you. That's how important it is to not just be productive, but to be able to set boundaries that align with the priorities of your life. Not just the to do list at work, but the priorities of your life. I'm gonna need a sip because we about to dig into this. I'm just at point one. Haven't even gotten to some other stuff yet. Buckle up. We're about to go in. Um, but no, for real, that is very important. And the impact of that is something that is going to take us time to come back from. So that's why the systems that we put in place are really critical. The communication that we have is very important so that we can not just prioritize the asks and the tasks, but that we set boundaries and expectations to help people understand what it is that we have to do. They can't read our minds and vice versa. All right. The next one is being flexible. I like this one because in my life, I am typically not very flexible depending on the situation and the person. And so let's unpack that for a minute. The definition of flexibility is being able to be repositioned. You are able to adjust your actions, you're able to make movements. It's literally a pivot, but one that you are willing to do, not a situation put on you, which is typically what is more closer to the pivot. So just being flexible. And the reason that I know that I struggle with this is because I have a personality that is hard and fast at times. I have developed over time what I thought was a rigorous mechanism that had to be put in place because I saw early, not knowing what it was, that if I don't put a line in the sand, I'm going to sway. I'm going to move too far to the left and too far to the right. I'm going to miss assignments. I'm going to miss deadlines. I'm going to make decisions that seem right in the moment, but are going to have long lasting impacts on my life, my goals, my health, all the things. And so I learned a long time ago that I needed to have hard lines. And here I am 20 some odd years later. And because I'm a woman of faith, my lines are not my own. The reason that that is important for me is because before I was drawing lines of flexibility based on pleasing people, based on doing what seemed right at the moment and not thinking about the second and third order effects or the consequences to me or other people. And so, what I am learning to do now is when I have flexibility written in my heart and in my mind, what really is adjacent to it is obedience. And it's obedience to what God has called me to do. So it's not going to be a surprise to you that I'm bringing up the word obedience because as a woman of faith, I am endeavoring and seeking Christ for my decisions. So in everything that we do for my faith-based folks, it needs to be in alignment and in the will of what God has for you in your life in that moment. And what I learned, the closer I became, um, the closer that I got in relationship to Christ through reading his word, through fellowship of his people, and just being at a church that really taught the word of God, is that if I'm not obedient, I will never know what it is that God wants me to do. Because he's always gonna have to say, now why are you over there? Get I I told you to be here. You're over there. I need you here. Like for those of you old enough that remember Bill Cosby, here, no, here, come here. That's how God is with me. No, Karen, I need you here. And so the reason that flexibility and obedience go hand in hand for me is because oftentimes I was rigid for all the wrong reasons. I was rigid for the wrong people. I had expectations about what it is that I would and wouldn't do, and they were so misplaced. And what obedience does, obedience to God's word, aligns me immediately. Therefore, when I need to be flexible, I'm not flexible for everything or everybody. it's not a boundary, it's different from a boundary. It is, I am learning to have, I am learning discernment. Like God is allowing me to have discernment through this process whereby I'm asking questions about what I do with my time and where I go. And so if you are not productive and you find yourself, always having to play catch up, not necessarily making the right decisions, it's probably the root of it is probably you're not using discernment, you're not in obedience with what God has called you to do, which means you're out of alignment. So it's going to be impossible for you to be flexible. I'm talking real loud because I hear somebody coming up the steps and I'm recording. So I'm saying it loud so they don't open this door while I'm in the middle of recording. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that is important because we have things that we need to do. People are depending on you. People are depending on me to do certain things. And guess what? If we somehow don't meet the mark and we're unable to meet the expectation, we're unable to check the box, people will be okay. But there are some things, there are situations that require us to be accurate, that require us to be in alignment, that require obedience and discernment so that we are able to travail the unexpected. I'm not trying to use big words here. This is just the benefit of life. I was not always like this. I was just like, yep, we gonna go here. Sure, yeah, let's go, let's go. And then it's just like, but you have an obligation, but you need to sleep, but you have to do this. I was not really thinking about all the things that needed to be done. And whatever phase of life you are in, you don't have to be 50 to get there. You can implement this at the age of 15, you can implement this at 20, in your 30s, in your 40s, all the way through the course of life. Because as you grow and as you mature and as your responsibilities grow and as the stakes grow with those responsibilities, what I'm telling you is going to be that much more important. All right. I love this. The next step, or next tip, I should say, it's not a step, but um, is recognizing when there's noise, dealing with the distractions. And this is a tough one because there are so many fun things that are really distractions. Like distractions don't come in the same size and shape. Distractions come from me in the form of a new series on BritBox that I got to stay up past my bedtime, knowing I get up at 4 a.m. Distractions come as I saw this thing happen or unfold at work and I'm trying to avoid it, but it somehow comes to me and people want to bring me into it. And I got to say no, or I have to ask specific questions that allow me to get to an answer where I can make a decision. Distractions come in with noise. Like if I'm in a place where I really need to hear from God, or if I decide to go for a walk in the beautiful air and hear what God has to say, or just spend some quiet time, and instead I bring my earbuds and out of habit, I press play on inspirational and good music, but I've now not allowed God to speak to me or allow my thoughts to have air. Those are little distractions. And over time, I have learned to modify, again, going back to that flexibility. So distractions come in all shapes and forms. And it is not easy to actually, it's not easy to step away from them, especially when they're distractions that serve us or we think that they serve us. It could be as simple as you having associations or friends or people that are are there, it's easy for them to take you away from your focus, meaning, and this is just again a small, it's not a small example, but it's not life threatening, but it can be. Like you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to have more healthful lifestyle, and there's all of a sudden an opportunity to go and eat or gouge on something that you love, but you know it's not helpful to you, that's a distraction. And so what do? You either go and try to tough it out and end up making a poor decision, or you actually say, no, I don't want that. I want to be able to be clear of that. And so it's not a temptation. It's just something that, you don't have exposure to it. But making that poor decision will end up being a distraction because now you've got to come back from that. So it shows up in many different forms, and we can develop strategies to work around it, work through it. I know one for me, again, being personal and transparent, is that I need tidiness. I have the brain that is hard to focus and clutter, and that makes it hard for other people who don't see anything wrong with having, stuff not necessarily in its right place. It's fine for them. Well, for me, I can't get past it in order to get to a place of clarity. Like, I got to straighten it up. And sometimes that leads me to be resentful, but it's a distraction, but it's a necessary thing for, my brain to flow. That's just something that I've learned about myself. And so I adjust. I do adjust for clarity. I adjust to not necessarily put on people. And you may be wondering, well, how is that a distraction? It's keeping me from doing something else that is productive because I'm laser focused on that thing. There are many different distractions. The message that I want you to have, though, is to try to limit them. You know you better than I do. You know you better than most people. I shared with you a couple of things that may not resonate with you, but I know me. I know it's a distraction to me. And I think the beauty in recognizing what is a true distraction, what is truly noise, because it'll disguise itself as something that's important, but really it's noise, y'all. It's really noise, and it doesn't require your attention. It doesn't require your time. It doesn't require your energy. It requires that you acknowledge it and move straight on. That even if it's something that's thrown at you, not even to hurt you, but just thrown in your lap. I've said this in another video. You can just look at it, lay on the floor. You don't have to pick it up. You just have to keep moving. But I think acknowledging what those distractions are, and also going deeper and understanding that acknowledging and engaging in the distractions, what does it cost you? That's actually a good a good action, a good exercise for us to do. If you are listening to this video and you're scratching your head trying to figure out what's a distraction, think of some of the things that you've engaged in that cost you something, that was not at play originally, that what you maybe gave attention to, time to, energy to. Some of that stuff is noise, y'all. And in the vein of what the topic is on how to be productive and aligned, not necessarily focused, but be productive in a way that allows you to get closer to purpose, that allows you to be in alignment with God, that allows you to be in obedience with His will. Yeah, we got to start identifying these distractions because they'll show up and they'll mirror themselves as things that require your attention when they really don't. The reason that I am excited about sharing this topic is because it is something that you will evolve and do. So for me, I am sharing with you things that, are ever present in my life. I have a demanding job. I've got responsibilities. I got people that rely on me being being patient, being present, being available. And oftentimes I find myself not being in position. And my answer to that is, it's not just productivity that's the aim, it's really making sure that we are doing the things that matter, that we're prioritizing the people, places, and things that matter. And when you have ADHD, when you're stressed, when you don't have ADHD and you have a lot of things coming at you, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of demands on your time, and even if you are in solitude and you are trying to figure out what do I need to do next, this is a great place to be because it's an opportunity for you to see how you use your time. It's an opportunity to see the fruit that you're bearing from the time that you're using. And it's an opportunity to even pray and ask God, is this what it is I'm supposed to be? Am I here or am I supposed to be here? Wait for the answer and then be able to adjust so that you can have that alignment and for sure be in obedience. I love talking this out because it instantly brings up situations, people, decisions that I have made that I can reflect back on now and say, yeah, girl, that was a distraction. That was a smoke screen. Like you fell for that one. You let that thing, distract you for a minute. Yeah. You know, it allows us to make better, wiser decisions together. So I would love to know in the comments what are your distractions and do you think that they're real? And how you prioritize the things that are important to you, and how you believe that doing these things that I mentioned get you closer to purpose, or are there other things that you would add to the list? I only mentioned 3 things. I really did. Prioritizing tasks, being flexible, and being obedient adjacent to that, and then recognizing when it's noise. There are many others, and I would love to hear what's on your list. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I'm going to have on the screen an opportunity for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and join me on my journey for Karen's Chronicles, where I talk about topics that are important to my personal, my spiritual, and my physical and mental development. And I love engaging with you and getting your reactions. Some of you have sent me questions, and we're learning in this life together. This is a journey that we're taking together. So thank you for hanging out with me. All right, guys, until we talk again, have a great day. Bye for now.